皆さん、こんにちは。こちらはリアリです。Today, we're going to talk about the IELTS speaking part 2. The IELTS is the exam where most students must take when they want to study overseas or when they want to immigrate to countries like Canada, Australia, England, and etc. So let's discuss about what the part 2 is all about, and later we're going to talk about the things that we should do and the things that we shouldn't do. So we have a list of the do's and the don'ts. So let's get started. 始めましょう. So here, how long does this part would take? It usually takes for about 3 minutes. 3分ぐらいかかりますね. So the first minute is for preparation. The examiner will hand you a question card, or we call it a cue card. Okay. So the question card and the cue card looks similar, like this. Okay. Describe, and so on, and usually 3 to 4 questions following. So sample here, describe a day out that you remember when you went out with friends. You should say who the friends were, where you went, what you did, and explain why you remember that day out so well. So you have to make sure that you cover all the questions that's being asked here in the cue card. You're given a minute to prepare. So in this time, you're going to read the question and make sure that you understand everything. So you have to take down important keywords. This will serve as a guide when you are about to deliver your speech. After that, after 1 minute, the examiner will give you around 1 to 2 minutes to talk. So this is when you deliver your speech. So most of the students think that this is more difficult because it's not a dialogue. So we have to speak for 1 to 2 minutes continuously. Okay, so what are the topics that are being asked or that covers in this cue card? Well, usually it's about like a special day, a special trip, okay, precious possession, about a journey or trip, a book, music, or a movie that you saw, so etc. and so on. Well, so it's usually describe something. So description, we'll talk about something. And also 4 W's, or like why, when, what, where. So these are the questions that are always asked in this cue card. Now let's look at the things that we should do in this part of the IELTS. The do's. First of all, it is very important to write important keywords. You're given a minute to do your preparation. So during this time, you're going to write down important keywords. So you don't have to write sentences because they're very long and it takes you much time. You are only given 1 minute. You're going to list words that may guide you and help you when you're about to begin your speech. Okay, so make use of the 1 minute that is given to you. So you have to grab your pen and note, and you write down important notes. Secondly is to cover every point. In the cue card or the question card that I have showed you, there are some questions. You're asked to describe something and some follow-up questions, like 3 to 4 questions. So you have to make sure that you cover every point. You have to make sure that you answer all of them. Okay? So while you're doing that, point as you talk using your finger. So of course in your note, use your finger to point out things, like when you're reading a book, you use a bookmark to mark the pages that you have already read. In this case, you use your finger. So you can keep track of the words that you have already uttered. So this might be very helpful to you. So another tip, use your personal experiences. So this first, okay, use your personal experiences. You might be asked about something and you have experiences. So in this case, you can spontaneously recall and use your personal experiences to talk about it. But in the event that you have not experienced that or you haven't thought about it, you're going to make it up, okay? Make things up. For example, the examiner asks you about a dance ball that you've been, but in fact, you haven't been to a dance ball actually. So you have to make things up. Pretend that you've been to a dance ball. Or you can steal your friend's experience. Talk about what happened. Okay? Make things up. The most important thing is that you delivered in English, you express yourself in English, so they can mark you with that. Okay? So we have been talking about expansions. When you answer, you have to expand and make a lot of examples, you reason out. But there are some times when you ran out of words. This is a very important tip for you. Okay? Make use of your senses. So senses, we have your sense of touch, sense of sight, sense of hearing, sense of smell, sense of taste, etc. So sense of touch, how did it feel like? どういう感じでしたか? How did this one? How did it look like? Your sense of sight. So you use your eyes. どんなものでしたか? Like that. Your hearing, of course, your ears. How did it sound like? Your sense of smell, you use your nose. How did it smell like? And your sense of taste. This is applicable for food, drinks, etc. どういう味でしたか? Like that. Okay, and etc. These are very helpful tips for you. Okay, and then we have organize your speech. It is important to be well organized when you talk, when you deliver your speech. We have the introduction, body, and your conclusion. It's like an essay, but in speech version though. So for example, your introduction, you have to talk about what your topic is all about. And for the body, so you cover up all the things that is being asked to you, like the one that I showed you on the question card or the cue card. And you also have to make your own conclusion. Okay, for example, how the day went like. So you can say, to sum it up, it was a very awesome experience. Or you can say, you can also say that it was a really good experience with your friends, like the one that I showed you on the cue card. Okay, another thing is imagine or imagination. Use your imagination. So you have to really think about the thing that's being asked of you. Places, think about sports or whatever that is being asked of you. You have to use your mind, use your imagination. It is important to use transitions. Okay, what are transitions? Example of transitions are, first of all, secondly, next, after that, then. So when you use transitions, your speech will be very organized and it's really easy to understand. So this is a good point you will be marked on. For example, they're going to ask you about how you spent your holiday. So you could probably say, first, I went to the cafeteria. Next, I had a full workout at the gym. After that, I went out with my friends for coffee. And then finally, I went to the grocery to buy some things like this. All right, okay, so we have to be confident. We don't have to mumble, make an eye contact, and to speak loudly. So if you don't speak in a loud voice, the examiner won't hear you. You don't want that. Okay. This part here, the last one, finally, the final tip, make use of the past tense of the verb. This is important. You have to instill to your mind that they're going to be asking you about your experiences. So usually, you have to use the past tense of the verb. So you have to take note of all the do's in this part of the IELTS. Now let's look at the things that we shouldn't do in this part of the IELTS, the don'ts. Now we have a couple of lists here for this. First is, don't memorize answers. A lot of students tend to do this. So they pick up questions and tend to memorize answers, canned or scripted answers. This is a no. You will lose big mark in this part of the IELTS. Because if you memorize answers, it doesn't seem natural. So one question could lead to another question. So if you memorize your answer, there is a lot of tendency that you make a mistake, or you might go off the topic of what is being asked about. Okay? Secondly, do not write long sentences. This is when you are given the 1 minute time for preparation. During that time, you're asked to write important keywords. So 1 minute is very short. No, you don't have to write long sentences. You probably write like 1 or 2 word keywords to guide you when you begin speaking. So only pick up important keywords that you think are very helpful for your speech. Next is, don't panic. A lot of students get nervous, and when they get nervous, they got a mental blackout. So even though they studied for a long time or they practiced, when they panic and they got a mental blackout, of course, they wouldn't be able to say what they want to say. You don't want to do that. Okay, so keep calm and don't panic. Next is, don't focus too much on one point. So, for example, you will be asked about your family. So the examiner asks you about your family. Of course, you have to focus on that topic, which is about your family. You have to stick to that topic about your family. But don't focus too much only on one point. So when you say family, it has a lot of aspects. You could probably think about 3 important aspects. For example, what kind of people your family is, or how is your relationship with your family, or you can talk about the things that you like doing with your family. So you can decide 3 important aspects at least. Of course, it's the same topic, but different aspects. Okay? So the next is, don't use low-level words, or we call boring words. Okay? Don't use boring, low-level words. You're being marked in the IELTS with 4 components, and one of these is vocabulary. So you have to use high-level or advanced words. For example, you say good. Okay, good. Good is a very common word, very used word. You might as well use amazing or wonderful, one of a kind, exciting, like that. Okay? Okay, here, we have another thing. Here. Don't give short answers. I think that I have mentioned this as well in the past video. Don't give short answers. So you don't say yes or no. Make expansions, give examples, reason out. This is very helpful. You're given 2 minutes. So you have to make use of the 2 minutes by expanding your answers. Okay? Next thing is, don't go far beyond the topic. So it's like connection to this part here. Okay? Don't go far beyond the topic. So you are given a topic, you talk about it, but you're going to talk about different aspects about that topic. Okay? Next is, don't worry about accent. non-native speakers have different accents. So don't worry about your R. Of course, some people worry about R and L sounds. They worry about how they talk. But we cannot deny the fact that non-native speakers have accents. Rather, you focus on how you enunciate or how you speak clearly. You should speak clearly so that they will understand what you're talking about. And rather, you have to enhance your vocabulary as well so that you can express yourself in English and they can mark you well with your English. And don't worry about being perfect. They are expecting you to make a mistake. But of course, in as much as you can, if you make it perfect or well, that's a very good point. Okay, so I hope these tips will make you do well in this part of the IELTS. では、ありがとうございました。See you! では